Hello. Today we will be looking at automated invoice creation using Automation Anywhere. My name is Damien Griffiths and I work for a company called Extra Technology. So today we're looking at self-billing and invoice creation with AA. We have a specification. So a contractor uses the self-billing system which generates an email. This email contains a CSV file which shows the following: the contractor ID, the purchase order, the number of hours or minutes they worked, the start and end date of the billing period. Now, it could actually have multiple lines in it because the contractor might have worked on more than one job for the client for that particular billing period. So this is read by Automation Anywhere and inserted into a table called self-billing. We then match this against the table contractor details, keying on contractor ID to generate the invoice details. We then call a stored procedure from Automation Anywhere, which we use to grab the invoice details. Using the invoice details which we've grabbed from the stored procedure, we then paste those into a Word template, together with the address details all taken from the database. We make extensive use of the smart recording and object cloning facility to do this. So once that's done, the invoice is then saved to a PDF, making use of Word's own export functionality. The detail lines are then enhanced with data from the database and read into a CSV file. This CSV file will be saved together with the PDF invoice and attached to an email, which is then sent back to the contractor. So the result of doing this procedure using Automation Anywhere is the following. So contractors no longer have to spend hours creating invoices. Their invoices are sent and received in good time. The figures are more reliable as the system generates the values from the stored data. The contractor receives a copy via the email for their records. Everyone is happy. So now we're going to go and see the steps I took to create this in Automation Anywhere.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to show you how we can use Smart Recorder to actually record the steps that we use to create the invoice. So first thing we need to make sure is that the Word document is open and it's maximized, and that the cursor is in the correct field, which it is. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to Automation Anywhere, and I'm going to make sure that Smart Recorder is picked, and I'm going to press the record button. So the invoice window is checked. You can see that it's got invoice temp.docs Word, so I'm going to start that there. Okay, so now I'm going to type in the company details. So my company limited. I'm going to pick a date. So the date I'm going to pick is today. So I'm going to tab into the next field. So any company limited, any address, very simple phone number, customer ID 455, date, and I'm going to go and pick a date. There we go. We'll tab out that field. Pick a purchase order number 34. Invoice number. Payment due. And then the company, my company name, that comes from above. So the address of my company is my address. The website is mywebsite.com. Telephone number is 123456. These are basically just placeholders that we'll use later on to fill in. So no fax number. Email is myemail.com. Okay, so there we go. So we've basically used Smart Recorder to fill in the details for that template. So I'll press stop and let's go and see what it creates. So we'll call it Smart Recorder Test. There we go. And we'll hit save. So it'll go and open it for us, and there we go. So that's basically what it's recorded. So what I'll do now is I'll go back into the Word template, and I'll just close it without saving it. Important not to save it. And then we'll go and reopen it again. So we'll ensure that we're in the first field, and we can see that we are maximized. So we're in exactly the same state as we were when we originally did the recording. That's important. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to run this bot. Let's see what it does. So what you'll see it does, it actually goes and fills in all the details as we recorded them. And that was a very, very simple process, and it filled it all in absolutely correctly. And that's the beauty about Smart Recorder. It's a very, very quick way of interacting with an application or a Word document or an Excel document, whatever you want. Very, very fast, reliable. And then what we can then do is we can go back in, as I did, and we can go and variabilize all these things. So then we can read those in from a database or from a file, and it will then populate it as we need it to. So there we go. Smart Recorder effectively does object cloning under the hood. It's one of the most brilliant features of automation anywhere. So the next bot simulates a automatic invoice generation. So the brief for this one was we had a company that wanted to have self-billing for contractors. So the first thing we did was we created a basic data model which encapsulated the things that the contractor needed to have. So you see they've got that's the contractor main table, their name and their work number and their address. There's an address table there. They've got their skills, got an invoice table, a list of skills table, a skill level table, cost per skill level, a purchase order table, and a contract self-billing. So basically what happens is they use a website which generates a self-billing CSV file. Now the bot reads this in, it creates data in the self-billing file, which then calls a stored procedure, which generates an invoice. The invoice is then entered into a Word template, which you will see the bot doing. Now, to do this, we made use of the Smart Recorder facility. It's very difficult to interact with Word without using Smart Recorder in actual fact. Smart Recorder was perfect because it does all the object cloning for you just by actually recording the steps. At the end of recording the steps, you can then add the extra information as you need. So I'll just show you the code. So here's the contracts bot. It looks fairly complicated, but it's actually not too hard at all. So again, like the other one, makes extensive use of a config file. So see there's a read config file, which actually reads in an XML file. And again, that stores all the various different paths, stores the errors, the error email addresses, the invoice path, the logging verbose, that turns on logging or not, depending on what it's set to, snapshot billing paths, self-billing paths, and all various different other variables which are used throughout the process to store information. So the way I've actually named these, everything with a conf on it is the config file, and then DC is database, data capture. So you see DC1 relates to all the first data capture items, and DC2 is the next set, and DC3 is the next set, DC4 is the next set if we had it, and FD is the file data. So you'll see there FD, FD, FD. So it makes it easy to look at them. So I can look at that and say, oh yeah, that's the first set of database variables that I'm actually using. Then down here, that's the second set of database variables I'm using. And finally down the bottom there's the third set. It just makes life much easier because they're all grouped together and you can see them very easily. It's just a good tip. And you'll also notice there's lots of commenting in it throughout the bot, explaining exactly what we're doing and when we're doing it. Now, as before, we make extensive use of error handling. So you'll see in here, again, taking a snapshot when there's an error, logging to a file. I'm sending an email, and I'm attaching the snapshot and attaching the variable, which gives me all the local variables, so all these and all the system variables. So I'm just going to run this because picture speaks 1,000 words, and you'll see what it actually does. So first thing is it gets its config from readconfig.atmx. Config's been read successfully. And next it goes and checks that the database connection is correct. So yes, it's using the contractors database, and now it's reading in the first CSV file. In this case, it has 2 lines. So there's the start and end dates of the invoices, or the billing lines. And there's the invoice it's generated by adding those 2 billing lines together. So next it opens Word, and it makes use of a template in Word. You'll see what it's doing now. It's filling in all that information from data it's retrieved from the database. So next, we want to convert that to a PDF file. So it makes use of the Words export feature to convert to PDF. And there's the PDF in Acrobat, saved it. And now what we're just doing is we're generating some detail lines from the CSV that we can add to the email that we're going to send to the contractor. And here's the second file, different person, this is Bups. So he's just got one start date and end date. And there's the invoice generated for him. So again, it's going to open Word and fill in all his details based on what was in the database. So now we're exporting the database, the invoice to a PDF file again. There we go. Now we save it and we create the detail lines. And the final thing you'll see it doing is doing a send mail. So that's that process actually finished. So what it does, you'll see student 1, your invoice number 1,010,000, whatever it is, has been prepared. So if I double click on the PDF, there you'll see the PDF that we created. And if I now double click on the CSV file, there you can see the actual CSV file. That just shows the 2 detail lines with the information as to what the guy's been paid. So let's see again. This is number 11. So you'll see there, if I open that one, you'll see this one's for Bups. There we go. And again, if I open the CSV file, you actually double clicked it this time to go into Word, to Excel rather, you can see his information. So there you go. So that's how we can automatically generate an invoice using Smart Recorder and Word templates, converting to a PDF, and then emailing it out. And that makes extensive use of the Smart Recorder feature. So most of these lines down here, most of these lines where we're filling in the Word template, these were all created with Smart Recorder. And that's it. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for watching.